So today I'm going to show you how to use your microwave to press flowers. This can be done in just minutes and it feels really magical. I didn't believe it was possible, but trust me, it works. So let's get started. The first step of any pressed flower project, you got it, flowers. Be sure to clip some leaves and ferns too because they make great filler. Once you're ready to get started, cut the flower as close to the bottom of the bloom as possible. For bulkier flowers like this rose, push out the center petals. This will help keep it flat while it's pressing. Using a variety of colors and sizes gives pressed flower DIYs the best results, so get a good mix. To start, grab a couple of your blooms. Place a paper towel on the bottom, the flowers on top, and another paper towel on top of that. Then you'll need something to help weigh it down. I'm using a microwave-safe casserole dish, but a ceramic tile or a brick would also work. Make sure all the flowers are under your weight and set it on top, but don't press down because that can damage the flower. Microwave strength will vary, but I turned mine down to the defrost setting to make the heat less intense. Microwave your flowers for about a minute to start. Check the flowers as you go because each one will take a different amount of time. You want them to feel dry and look completely flat, so these aren't quite ready yet. After the first minute, pop them back in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time. This sunflower looks good to go. It's flat and it feels dry to the touch. The rose needs a little bit more time, so let's pop it back in. Alright, it's perfect. Time to press more flowers. Most of the botanicals took between 1 and 4 minutes to get fully pressed. The smaller the flower, the less time it usually needs. You can cut smaller blooms like these flocks off of their stems and press them individually. That's going to give you a better and flatter result. Don't forget to press the stem too. Ferns press beautifully, but some leaves, like these red buds, turn brown when microwaved, so test a small amount of each plant before you cut a bunch. One thing that's a bit tricky with the microwave method is white flowers. These are beautiful pre-microwave, but after being pressed, as you can see, they discolored a bit, and this was consistent with every white flower that I tried. Brighter colored flowers got the best results. The roses were one of my favorites. Once the flowers are done, you can use them right away or place them between some wax paper and top with a book to keep them flat. I am ready to craft, so let's do this. First, I'm making a floral monogram. The first step is to remove the backing from a float frame. Stretch 2 layers of white tulle around the frame. And then you want to put the frame back together. You can also hot glue the tulle in place if you need to. Print out a font or image that you love as a template. I'm using an H for Handmade. Put the frame on top. Then you want to start arranging the flowers in the shape of your design. It's definitely a bit of a puzzle, and you'll more than likely need to cut some of your flowers to get crisp edges. I tried to balance by using, for instance, one part of the rose on the top of the H and the other part on the bottom. But it's your design, so do what you feel. Once you find a configuration you like, start tacking everything down with a little hot glue. Pull up the tulle every now and then to keep it from sticking to the template. Okay, everything's attached and this is ready to display. I love how this came out. I also love making pressed flower gift tags, and a thick cardstock tag works the best. Just add your favorite flowers, then attach them with a bit of decoupage glue. Add another layer of glue on top of the flower to seal it in. You may need to add a couple of coats depending on the size of the flower. Don't worry, the glue will dry clear. It's easy to make a bunch of tags at a time, and I also use the same technique to dress up some craft paper gift boxes. Isn't the fern so pretty? Just add a name to the gift tag and you're ready to go. So today I'm going to show you 4 creative ways to make a pressed flower phone case. Let's get started. Now it's time to start dressing up some phone cases. I'm going to clean this case with an alcohol wipe before adding any of the flowers, just to make sure to clean off any oils or fingerprints. You know we love a good rainbow here at Handmade, so I had to do one with a Roy G. Biv collection of leaves and petals. I have a bunch of flowers growing in my yard, so I just pulled off a petal here and there, but a flower vendor at your local farmer's market would be a great place to get a bunch of different bloom colors without buying full bouquets. I'm going to lay out my design first, then use a bit of clear permanent adhesive to tack the flowers down. This is going to keep them from popping up once we add the resin. For smaller flowers, I ended up using tweezers to hold the flowers while I added glue just to avoid gluing my fingers together. It's not a good look, you know? So everything is glued on, and I'm just going to set this aside to dry for a few minutes. On to the next case. This one, I'm going to feature one large flower. This is purple stock, which you can get in most grocery store floral sections. I'm going to trim the stem so it lines up with the edge of the case and add some glue. Then set this one aside. This next one is going to be a camp scene, and it was inspired by artwork from the ladies at the studio Sister Golden. To start, I'm going to trace a piece of black cardstock and cut to fit the bottom of the phone case. This will be the base of the landscape. And I'm actually going to put this inside of the case versus outside. To start the look, I'm adding some pressed cedar as the trees. Next, for a tent, I cut a red flower petal into a triangle, then added a yellow petal folded in the center right on top. Oh my gosh, so cute. Then a tiny daisy serves as the sun. I'm just going to add glue to secure everything. For the final case, I'm going with a more classic look. If you're new to pressing flowers, I think rose petals and daisies are some of the prettiest and easiest options. I'm also adding some tiny yellow flowers as an accent. Time to glue. So while the cases are drying, let's talk resin, aka epoxy. I purchased a kit online that was designed for jewelry, which we'll link to. It's important to choose one that's clear and non-yellowing so your case holds up over time. And this is a two-part epoxy, so you need to mix both parts together to activate it. Mix times can vary, but the basic instructions are usually the same. Put on some gloves and then pour equal parts from each bottle into 2 disposable cups. Then pour them together and mix. I used about 3 ounces for all 4 cases, so you really don't need much, which makes this a great batch project. Stir together until there are no streaks left, which took about 3 minutes for me, but again, make sure that you refer to the directions for the resin you're using. Okay, moment of truth. We're going to start by pouring a few small dollops of resin onto the phone case. You want to start pouring in the middle and work the resin over the flowers first, then towards the edges until everything is covered and there's an even layer on the whole case. So I got a little overconfident on this case. Again, be careful not to overfill it or the resin will overflow. Luckily, this is just a piece of plywood, but covering your work surface is always a good idea. You can clean up any drips with a cotton swab and some nail polish remover after the resin is dry. This resin doesn't begin to set up for about 40 minutes, so there's plenty of time to manipulate it if you want to make a change. Don't worry if the surface of the resin looks a little uneven. It will level out as it dries. And now I'm just going to repeat on the other 3 cases. After about 30 to 40 minutes, you may see a few bubbles rise to the top of the resin. If that happens, just grab a toothpick and gently pop. And now we wait. These will set up in about 8 hours, but it's good to give it a bit more time just to be safe.
I'm going to show you how to make gold flake and dried floral bookmarks. My sister and I are doing a virtual book club this year as a way to stay in touch, and I realized I don't have a bookmark. I know I can easily just fold down the corner of a page, but I hate doing that, and there's something really special about tucking a little bookmark in between pages to keep your place. And maybe if I have a cute bookmark, I'll be more motivated to read more. We'll see. Let's get started. I'm going to use gold flakes and dried floral for my bookmarks. Liz has a great video for drying flowers in the microwave. It's winter for me now and there aren't any flowers around, so I was able to easily order a variety of dried floral online. Aren't they beautiful? It's getting me so ready for spring. All I'm doing here is just coming up with a pattern I like. You can use tweezers or your hands. I think for the tiny and more delicate flowers, tweezers are easier. I also like to use tweezers when I'm moving the flowers around in the mold. I think it helps get it exactly where you want it. Now I'll give you a little warning. Things will shift a little when the resin gets poured in, but it's so easy to fix with a toothpick. I decided to arrange each design by color, kind of giving it a monochromatic look. I'm going to do a bookmark with the blue flowers, the pink flowers, and then I'm going to do a minimal design with a sprig of greenery. I realized I didn't like where I placed the white flower, so I'm going to adjust that. I think it makes the design feel more balanced if the white flower's in the middle. This is why I really like to arrange the design and then add the resin. I have plenty of time to move things around and get the bookmarks exactly how I want them. But if you're an adrenaline junkie, by all means, pour the resin and then arrange your flowers. I'll accent the bookmarks with specks of gold flake. The gold flake comes in little sheets. It's very easy to break that up. You can crumble it with your fingers, or you can pull the gold flakes apart with a toothpick, a wooden stick, tweezers, whatever you have. It's very easy. I think the gold flake is the perfect accent. It really makes the flowers pop off. I bought a 2-part resin epoxy kit. One bottle is the resin and the other is the hardener. Read the instructions for your specific kit. Before we get started, I'm going to cover my workspace and put on gloves. This is very important. It gets very messy, so be prepared. First, I'm going to measure the resin and the hardener in their own specific cups so I get the ratios exactly right. This is very important. I like to pour a little more than I think I'll need to avoid having to stop and mix up again while I'm working. You have to work somewhat quickly when you're doing this, so it's best to have everything you need ready to go. I'm going to pour 2 ounces of hardener and 2 ounces of the resin. I ended up pouring more like 2.5 ounces of each, so that's going to give me 5 ounces for the whole project. Now I'm going to take 1 cup at a time and pour them together into a new cup. I've got a little wooden craft stick I'm using to stir the resin and the hardener together. Stirring is also a key component to success in this project. You want to make sure that you're stirring nice and slow without a lot of pressure and scraping off the sides as you go. This will prevent air bubbles. We don't want any bubbles. It's going to feel like you're stirring forever. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Also, be sure to watch out for milky-like streaks. We don't want that. My kit says to stir for about 3 minutes. Okay, my 3 minutes are up, and just to be totally safe and ensure I have the best pour possible, I'm gonna pour this mixture into another cup and make sure I don't have any soft spots or streaks I may have missed. I'm going to mix slowly and keep scraping the sides for 1 more minute. Okay, this is looking great. Let's pour. I'm going to gently pour 1 mold at a time. As I mentioned, the flowers are going to move around a little, but I can easily fix that with a toothpick. I thought the resin would feel very delicate to work with, but it's actually not. My resin sets up in 45 minutes, and I highly recommend a kit that gives you this time frame so you have plenty of time to adjust. After you pour and you find little areas that need a little more resin, no big deal, just pour a bit more in those spots. And if you have overflow, it's an easy fix. Just take your wooden stick and smooth over the top. Now that I've got the design as I like it, the main thing here is to watch out for little air bubbles. Don't panic if this happens to you. It's an easy fix. Just take another toothpick and pop the little bubbles as they arise. Keep a close eye on your molds for about 30-ish minutes to make sure you don't miss any little bubbles. Now I'm just going to let this sit overnight and pop them out of their molds in the morning. My kit says it takes about 8 hours for the resin to set. I've got a little resin left and I don't want it to go to waste, so I thought I would show you a really easy bonus technique. Take about a tablespoonish of gold flake and pour it into your leftover resin. Now stir it around and gently break up the flakes a bit. Now this is the fun part. Pour the mixture into the mold. It will look like a big confetti party. Again, adjust the flakes if needed, smooth over the top if you have overflow, look out for bubbles, and pop as necessary. Let the resin sit overnight and work its magic. It's time for the big reveal. I let the bookmarks sit for about 12 hours and was very patient not to touch them. Now they should easily pop out of their molds, but a little tip, if the mold doesn't want to come out, it's probably not done curing. I learned that the hard way. Yes, these are popping out super easy. I noticed I had a couple little places where the resin kind of overflowed. That's an easy fix. Just take some little scissors and snip away those imperfections. These look so beautiful. I'm obsessed. Now for the final touch, I'm just going to tie on these tassels. Just pull it through the little hole at the top and tie a knot. That's all you have to do.